What's up, everybody? This is Lost Dreams 2580 coming at you with another Let's Talk Builds video. Um, Technically, I'm doing it live, so it's not really a Let's Talk Builds video, but I just don't feel like uploading and doing all the editing and stuff like that, so you're gonna have to forgive me for being lazy. But anyway, so with 17.5 came the release of Atlas and a lot of other content, and just to get it out of the way first off, in the last video that I did for the 17.5 update review, um, and also Void Trader stuff. In the Void Trader, I said quite a few things wrong in there. I went back and looked at it, but when you're doing stuff live, a lot of times you take and your mind wanders and stuff like that, especially when you're sitting alone. Um, but anyway, so the Astral Twilight in the Void Trader I took and didn't look at, and I got it confused with the Galantine stance that was in the one event mod. So you'll have to forgive me on that one. That was pointed out by Mr. Hugh Hefner last night in the live stream for the first run. And looks at Atlas, where we leveled everything up and took a look at what he's doing here. So this one's just going to be on Atlas. Now you can get this pack, the Brawler pack now. It's quite expensive for Platinum, but you can get it if you really want to from the market, and you know, experience it yourself. Now, I was very excited to see Atlas because it was something different. It was something new to me from what I saw of it at the time. And, you know, he has that overall powerful humanoid look that a lot of people like to have in the game, you know, compared to some of the other some of the other frames that kind of look a little bit weird at the time. But anyway, so that aside, did a run for, you know, did about an hour and a half of just running with him and getting used to his how he is and everything like that. Now, he is not my play style, but he may match you guys' play style as well. But along with the changes of 17.5 came the beautiful little thing that we like to call view stats with mods. So now we don't have to do all the calculations and stuff like that. So I can sit here and actually talk to you about what's going on, and you can actually see it instead of having to figure out what the damage and repercussions of the mods are, which is really nice. And I thought it was actually a great UI addition to the game. Now, they did do a lot of polishing of a turd and stuff that we just didn't need, for the sake of just doing it and looking like they were actually doing some work. But, you know, hey, that's what's going to happen in these video games. I mean, in the Void, I was just sitting there, and it was like literally just smack you in the face, all the polishes and stuff that they did in a lot of that stuff, even though they're quote unquote destroying it eventually in some way, shape, or form. But anyway, let's get to Atlas, because this is about Atlas here. The frame is pretty epic. Now, let's look at the abilities here. Landslide is one of my favorite abilities of the actual setup here. It's I'm using him set up solely for pretty much landslide, tectonics, and a little bit of the rumblers. Not too much of the rumblers, just a little bit. I do use them. But anyway, landslide basically is just straightforward taking Xcal and Rhino's dashes and just turning it into something actually usable and interactive. So basically, you're going to be taking and just using it over and over again. It automatically links within a certain range to the next target and smacks them and continues to do combos as well. So basically, it's a mini stance within an ability, and I found it absolutely effective. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So I buffed him up quite a bit for that. Now, tectonics. This is a ability that you're going to have to be very careful with, because when you're using it, that rock wall becomes an actual obstacle, and also it can push the people you're protecting if they do something and you send it flying. Because if you hit the button again, it'll send it rolling down the hill. Now, most of you that are watching this probably saw the dev stream and saw them doing the teaser play with him and stuff like that. And it takes and rumbles down to a certain distance and then hits the target and explodes. Well, if anyone else is with it, in front of it, any of the other members of your squad, it will push them and take it with them. So be very careful when you're using it because you may end up taking and sending someone really squishy into a really bad situation. Also, I don't know if it's glitching or not, but I also saw it hitting and exploding on every once in a while on teammates as well too. Now it didn't do any damage. It's just a pain in the ass because you're casting that. Um, but the rock wall did come in very handy last night because Cthulhu, Mr. Hugh Hefner, and I were running. They jumped into the stream and we took and ran some just a level. Cthulhu was running this frame as well too. He was the one that donated to me to do this video, and we ended up putting down rock walls on each side of ourselves and pinching ourselves into an area. Now the rock wall is pretty big, so it does cause issues shooting over and stuff like that. But we did have a fortress set up, so with many for a full squad of these guys, you could seriously put up some resistance as well too. And it seems that the enemy wants to attack the wall, kind of like Loki's decoy and whatnot. So on to the next one. We have Petrify. Now, in my opinion, this is the worst of the abilities that he has. Petrify is basically, now it is a great stun lock. Basically, you can use it to stop a whole horde of people and just destroy them. But it really wasn't that useful to me. To actually petrify them, it takes time. It looks kind of like a shield up in front of you. You don't get confused with it because it's not, and it slows your movement down severely as if he's pushing the air towards everyone. The range on it really isn't that great. 14 meters is really not that effective. Unlike Landslide, which it says up there the ability radius is 1.5, so it is better on the actual battlefield than it is in paper, but the Petrify is not. I mean, I enjoyed it. I played around with it. Like I said, if you want to take and catch up the first runs, I did a stream, so take and look for the live feed on my channel, and look at that for how it looks when you run, because I'm not going to be doing any kind of gameplay with this one. Now, Rumblers. Rumblers are fun. Kind of. I mean, this frame seems to be a mix between like Necros with his little minions, Frost with the freezing ability, but except it's not quite as effective. Shield generation, so it's kind of like a reuse of Volt without actually taking and being able to shoot through it. And I'm not quite sure, but I actually think this ability, Tectonics, you can actually damage your own stuff as well, too, as well as the Rumblers. I'm not quite sure. You'll have to check into it, but that's what it looked like to me last night. It may have just been time running out. And then you have the combination of Slash Dash and Rhino Charge and all those other ones that are built up with the Landslide as well, too. So it just feels like this frame has been a recycled ability frame. But anyway, back to Rumblers. Rumblers here. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the animation is you slam the ground, you bring out rocks all over, cover your body, and when you slam the ground it pops off and then two golems come out from beside you. These golems then beat shit up and throw rocks. Now the size of the golem is relative to your power strength. Now when they dissipate, they explode and do massive damage to the people around you. So, I'm not quite sure whether I want to go full out max because I got two of the corrupted mods on there for the power. But I'm not sure if I want to affect my duration any longer because power duration is 30.75 seconds at the way I have it built as of now. Do I want to have that done so that as soon as I proc, they explode pretty much directly, they do the severe damage, and then they take and damage things? Or do I want to use them as decoys? I haven't figured it out yet. This frame just is a little bit weird to me. I did enjoy it, though. It was something different. even though it just had that whole recycled feel to it. Now, anyway, let's go take a look at the mods that I'm using here on Atlas. You know, now I didn't do a whole hell of a lot because I'm just getting the feel for it. Since last night was the first time I ran him, I have to feel out what his abilities are, how they interact with each other, how they interact with other people, and how you can best utilize them. Now, this is the build so far that I've been using here. I tried a little bit of the Valkyr build with it because of the fact that his armor starts out at a decent base. I mean, 450 isn't anything to really, sorry about my redneck pun, but shake a stick at. Um, so I put on the steel fiber to jack him up there to 945 armor. Now, even though he is 945 armor, it did not feel like he was 945 armor. It felt like he was getting ripped up pretty good, even though his high armor status. But so they kept him still below the melee queen Valkyr, but they gave something a little bit competitive with it as well too. The health with a full vitality and max rank, I got him up to a 860. That, in my opinion, for a brawler build is not the best. You know, full vitality and a vigor on top of it. 860? No. Now, yes, this has been a caster build. You can get it up to 450 with a full flow on it, just a regular base flow. Uh, 225 is the max on it. So he is a casting frame, but he is supposed to be a melee frame. So unless you want to spend a lot of time taking and going through the abilities one at a time and then taking and cutting them down, he's not truly effective without mass amounts of health to go with that armor, in my opinion. Now, I had no problem fitting anything on here. I could actually really put the Exilus mod unlock on there and get some more out of it because I have 6 left over. Because using Steel Charge, obviously, it's the only one that I'm going to use with him as a melee build. So we got the max Steel Fiber, the max Vitality, max Vigor, max Flow because he's a casting build. Continuity, I'm on the fence of whether I want to keep it on there or not because if I take it off, I am going to replace it with, oh, what is it here? Let me look quick. Replace it with Blind Rage level 4 just because I want to get that extra damage in there. Now, like I said, I'm not sure whether or not I want to suffer on the duration that much as well and also take and suffer on the power efficiency because he does use a lot of power. With that number 1 going, you're going to want to keep pushing that button and smacking people. Now, it's not as strong as your actual melee attacks are with the brawler setup. But I will get to the other videos on the other weapons. But everything in this is very, very range-based for close range conflict. Even the weapons that come with him in the brawler bundle, or if you have gotten a hold of them individually, are close range, very ranged weapons. So the whole thing just screams, I want to have mass amounts of life, but and as much armor as possible, but it just does not deliver. Another thing here, like I said, I went with the intensify and the transient fortitude. Now, and the rage, of course, because like I said, I want to try to do it a little bit like Valkyr, but without any kind of way to get real life gain back, except for through your weapons and life strike. The rage build is not going to be very viable unless you take and actually have life strike. So I would swap rage out with some other ability, such as obviously something for your shields, something to buff him up a little bit more, because he just seems squishy compared to what I thought he was going to be. He just took mad amounts of damage. Now, like I said, he was fun. It was fun. The abilities were fun to use. It is the best blend between close range conflict and defense. So he's not very mobile though. Slower than all the other frames, with a .9. His sprint speed is much to be desired. You figure the size of this frame, they may have factored in the fact that his legs are a lot longer. But with this stuff here comes some bad scenarios. Like, I noticed a few things with him. When it comes to his aiming and shooting, he is a large large frame, so he fills up a lot of stuff. Cosmetically, you are not going to be able to fit any of your stuff on his back the proper way that it should be, because his upper torso is so huge compared to the rest of the Warframes. Um, he, he is a hindrance, much like I told you before, if you, in previous videos, that I got rid of Oberon because his headgear got in my way when I was aiming as well too. Well, with the combination of all these weapons and stuff like this, these weapons and his size, his aiming is not good. So most of his stuff is going to be from the hip versus aiming, because when you go in and zoom in and aim, all you see is half the screen is his shoulders and his lower part of his arm. The rest of it is, like, for example, if you're the Sonic Core here, which is a good gun, I do recommend it. All you see is this section of the gun right here, right above your reticle, so it does block all your views because of the size of this frame. Other than that, I like the way he looks. I like the appearance. I like the detail of the musculature of his, of the frame itself, his back. That everything seems to be in proportion, which would, I thought, have been a very difficult thing to try to gain when you're making what is supposed to be a golem. Uh, but other than that, I really don't have any complaints about him, other than the fact that unless you're going, even if you put formas into him, I would only think that you would maybe need maybe two formas to make him complete. This is a base build, of course, and I I just don't have that overall that shock and awe of using him. As a fun frame, I'm going to say yes, I would use him as a fun frame. Now, I was running with three other people, so things could have got, thrown out here and there, blah, blah, blah. But I feel that this frame is definitely not one of those end game ultimate frames at his current level. Would I put a forma into him? No. Would I take and really use him for Tower 4s? Not really. I think that his casting is going to be too much of a pain in the ass after playing what I was playing last night with the guys. We were leveling up stuff, so we were just using, for experience, we were just using T1s and T2s, and with his inability to really even take with the brawler package, let me just say that, with the brawler package, his weapons and stuff that were designed with him, he was in no way, shape, or form even able to feel like he would have lasted any more than 30-35 minutes in a T1. So that goes to show you the ability of safeness. Now, like I said before, I haven't actually taken and, you know, spent a whole hell of a lot of time by myself with him, figuring out how I can manipulate the combos to get what I want out of it. But as a ranged character, he is very close range. Every weapon that was produced with him, close range. So I just feel that he could have been a lot better with that armor, having that health. So that's my views on him today. So I'm going to take and get this out. The next video I'm going to be sending out is going to be on the Convectrix and my thoughts and opinions on that shotgun. And then after that, I will be going down to the Sonic Core and then the Techo, just to take and finish up this build for the Brawler. So thanks for watching. I hope you shared interest. Feel free to comment. Feel free to like, dislike. I'm not going to get mad at you if you dislike me, because, we all have our opinion, and I'm not perfect. So, or subscribe to the channel for more videos on builds, tactics, and gameplay, just straight gameplay. And don't miss out. You can join in any of these live streams with me at any given time. Just tell me that you want to. I'm on PC and I'm here for you to find. So after all this and the first look I took with him and his builds, I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the grind.